I'm just glad it's not.
I'm sorry?
I'm glad it's not us. I'm glad it's just our voices.
So I can use that to show where's your K-12 email? Dennis.
No, Dennis dot
D.
D dot A.
Whatever it is.
He don't-
too. I don't need it. We're making our day. Just, all right. You want to turn on your mics?
Not now.
Yes, turn on.
The time? Yes.
Okay, we're recording.
Got it. Okay, we can go ahead and call our regular meeting of the Wayne County Board of Education to order. It is 6:01. If you'll stand, we'll say the pledge. Nikki, you care to lead us this evening?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Wade, do you care to open that door?
Let the record show that all board members are present in person this evening. And we can begin with recognitions if we have any.
No recognitions this evening.
Let's move on to our presentations, our balance scorecard with Nikki Steph.
Yeah, we're going to have two presentations this evening. Nikki is going to present to us on the balance scorecard, which was just released by the State Department of Education. And then when she's completed her presentation, Christy and Wade, and I believe Austin Pratt's planning on being here as well, are going to talk to us just updates on the career launch program. So we'll start with Nikki. Yeah, we're going to talk about the strategic planning session we're planning coming up as well.
So before I get into the balance scorecard, Mr. Alexander also asked me to share this with you all. We are in the process of planning our first strategic plan stakeholder meeting for our community partners. I'll give you a copy of those. So this is what we are, we met today as our curriculum team sat down together today, and we're in the process of preparing for those meetings. Several of you have participated in those meetings before. We're shooting for October 30th, but it hasn't been finalized yet. But this year, we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to have 8 workstations, which are the 8 listed here. And you'll see what we're going to highlight for Wayne County schools, and all of this deals with our strategic plan goals and our district initiatives. So you'll be hearing more about that.
Okay. Okay.
Want to give you a heads up for what's coming. And whenever we do finalize that date and meeting location, we'll be sure and invite you all.
And we're working on our invitation list as well. And you guys have provided input on that in the past. So all the folks that we've talked about in the past will be invited. And then if we'll give you an opportunity to kind of look at the invitation list, see if you have anybody else you'd like to bring in.
Okay.
All right, so we'll talk about the balance scorecard. As Mr. Alexander stated, this was just released a couple weeks ago. So the purpose of the balance scorecard.
Can you pull that just slightly this way?
Does that work?
I'm good if John Eat is good.
Yeah, that's fine. And I've got it here too.
Okay.
So the purpose of this scorecard, it provides a clear snapshot of district and school performance and growth, and this is what meets the school accountability requirements of that every student succeeds at. So each district has an overall scorecard, and then each individual school also has a scorecard. This is the accountability indicators. It's in your PowerPoint. You also, I provide it as a handout because it's a little bit easier to read when it's full page. But what you'll see are the various indicators. So there are academic indicators as well as student success indicators that factor into this. So under the academic indicators, we have the academic achievement. So that indicator is just looking at students' performance on the general summative assessment or the SAT school day for our 11th grade students in English language arts and mathematics. The next one is academic progress. So that's looking at 2 years of data with the GSA and the SAT school day. So it's comparing the students, how they did in 1 year versus how they performed the next year. There's also an academic indicator for our English learner progress. This one you'll see on our scorecard, that cell is grayed out, and the reason why is because there has to be a minimum of 20 students for that to populate data in the scorecard, and we do not meet that criteria. We have less than that are in our testing grades, so that one does not apply to us. Under graduation rate, it's broken down into a 4-year cohort and a 5-year cohort. And then our student success indicators deal with attendance. So the percent of students who are absent for more than 10%, so that's our chronically absent students. Behavior, the percent of students with 0 out of school suspensions. And we have on track to graduation. So it's the percent of 10th grade students meeting credit earned criteria. So that means students must earn 12 credits overall, and at least 2 of those credits have to be in the primary content area. So that's ELA, math, science, and social studies by the end of 10th grade. And then the last one is the student success indicator is the post-secondary achievement. So that's our percent of 12th grade students that meet a select criteria. That criteria being one of 3 things. They met 1 or more college readiness benchmarks through an AP course, or they've completed a college-bearing dual credit coursework with a grade of an A, B, or C, or they have completed an approved CTE program and they have received an acceptable workforce entry score. So any 3 of those things factor into this post-secondary achievement. So within each of these indicators, you can see here we have the different performance levels. Red is does not meet standard, yellow is partially meets, blue is meets, and green is exceeds. So if you look at your next page, you're up here. This is the scorecard for Wayne County Schools. This is our district scorecard for last year. And all of those indicators we just talked about are right here on the scorecard. A couple of things to note, as I mentioned before, you'll see English learners is grayed out because we don't have a large enough population there, so it does not report data. And then you'll see that these bars, whether they're yellow, red, blue, or green, they're different sizes. The reason why is because the fill of the gradient represents the proximity to the next level. So for example, this one that's red here, almost that whole cell is filled in. So that means that right here, we're really close to partially meet standard, which is the next level. If there's a smaller bar, for example, this blue one here, that means that we're just barely meeting standard in that category. So the further over in that gradient, the closer to the next performance level.
So the first column, that academic achievement column, that's based upon the percentage of kids that are proficient in the district. The academic progress column, Nikki, what's the difference with the academic progress column?
So academic achievement is just looking at 1 year of data. So this is just 2024 spring assessment data. The progress is looking at how that spring 2024 data compared to the previous year of assessment data. So what's the progress with those students? So for example, you see it's broken down to our elementary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools. You can see here that, for example, in academic achievement, we're partially meeting standard. However, we're very close in mathematics to the next category, meeting standard. But when you look at progress, for example, in ELA, we're meeting standard there. So that means that our students are growing. We're hitting those targets. Same here, I see this red here, but the positive here is it's almost fully red, which means we're getting really close to that next category of partially meeting standard. You can see here, we've talked a lot about chronic absenteeism. That's why it's been one of our focuses in our strategic plan. You can see we're red across the board there for attendance at elementary, middle, and high school. A really big positive right here, though, is in our post-secondary achievement for our high school students. We're meeting standard there.
And again, that goes back to a lot of dual credit completion and CTE completion. If you remember last year, I think the entire state was red in the attendance category. So looking at the information, it's obvious that, we need to be focused on the secondary level at mathematics to help get that academic achievement out of those red categories. And as Nikki mentioned to start this off, this report card was created by the Department of Education and submitted to the United States Department of Education and approved that this would be our reporting mechanism. So these report cards apply to all 55 counties, and you can go to the Department of Ed's website to see report cards from other counties if you want to take a look at how possibly other regional schools are doing as well.
As well as any of our individual schools, you can zero in on any of their report cards as well. Another thing that you're going to see on my next slide in a minute has to deal with long-term goals and annual targets. So goals were originally set in the 16-17 school year as a baseline, but then we went through the pandemic, so suffered major learning loss there, which really affected our overall performance across the whole state. So they revamped these goals, so they updated them after the pandemic using 2021 school year data as a baseline, and they set annual targets and they calculated those for each of our, for us as a district, as well as for each of our individual schools for both math and ELA. So when you look at this breakdown, so this is all of our elementary and middle schools and all of our high schools. This is the individual scorecard pieces for each of those schools. But when you see these check marks, that means they met their target. So each school has their own annual targets. And those are each year, those are increased a little bit. And when you see a check mark, that means they are meeting those targets. So if you look, we've got a lot of check marks there. So a lot of our schools are meeting their targets. And when we broke this data down, the ones that did not meet targets were very close to meeting their targets. So that's very positive as well. And all of our principals, they have what their targets are, and they're constantly referring to those with their staff and using that to help drive their strategic plan goals at the school level.
We don't want to see any red there, but the good thing is with the red that you do see is those bars are full.
Yeah.
And so they're close to moving to the next level. Sarita Canova Elementary is especially impressive. A lot of blue there. Blue in the academic achievement, 2 check marks. Blue, if I'm not mistaken, blue in both columns of the academic progress. Kellogg,
Definitely impressive.
Crum pre-K through 8. Look at that academic progress. I mean, that's significant. Their mathematics progress is close to turning green.
Wow. Sure.
And again, when you see those, that the overall district mathematics being in the red, you can see here, if you just look in the first 2 columns specifically at the mathematics, you see those red areas that they're coming from, largely from the middle schools and high schools, which is what is impacting us there.
This next slide is comparing our scorecard measures to the state overall measures. So if you take a look, you can see these were our, we looked at the colors and how we perform, but this is our percentages. And then we also have the state's percentages for the state scorecard, so you can see how we stack up against state averages within the scorecard. So in terms of performance, you can see that we are above the state measures here. Progress is where we're a little bit lower. Of course, attendance, you can see that last year, the state was at 23.5% chronically absent. We were at 33.2%. So that continues to be a major emphasis, as we've said. But if we look right here, I highlighted this a minute ago, that post-secondary achievement. If you look at Wayne County in comparison to the state, it's a really positive jump there. So remember, that has to do with our dual credit courses and our CTE completers.
And then our kids on track to graduate, we were at 86.7% and the state was at 83.1. So that's another positive indicator. What's not so positive is those 4-year graduation values and 5-year graduation values. You know, we are just underneath of the state's graduation rates.
So this next slide is just looking at Wayne County scorecard data, but it's looking at our 2023 scorecard versus our current scorecard. And what you'll see is in terms of ELA and math performance, there is very minimal change there. If you look across, except for right here in this ELA progress, it was a little more significant. So one thing Mr. Alexander's been talking about, we actually talked about today in our curriculum meeting, is as our enrollment is dropping, our special education population is increasing. So the fact that we're kind of maintaining is really positive. Although we're in the red for attendance, when you look at where we were before, the 2023 school year, we ended at 38.2% chronically absent. And we have decreased that by a little over 5%. So that's very encouraging. We want to get that under 20%. That's our strategic plan goal. So hopefully we'll see another decrease in 5% or more this year of that number.
I guess it'd be speculation, but do we have any idea why our attendance, no, we work at it, but why we lag the state on that? Because I think county, rural county, well, most of West Virginia is. I mean, I'm not criticizing that, it just strikes me, why?
It's been a traditional number. I don't know exactly what the answer is for that. We're going to have, I'll have Terry Lynn out probably at the next meeting. So we started talking about chronic absenteeism, about 2 years ago, and about the need to address it. And when it really came to the forefront was coming out of the pandemic, because we had, I can't remember what the number was it 53%? Or Nikki, do you remember what that chronic absenteeism number was that year? It was in the 50s.
It was in the 50s.
Now, that was when quarantining was still going on and things like that. So kids there was reasons why they were missing, but the bottom line was there was still a lot of school missed. So, we dropped from 50-some% to 38% the previous year. Now it's dropped to 33%. Prior to the pandemic, we were around the 27% mark, but below the state. So we'd like to at least get back to that 27% mark to begin with. And so this year there's an attendance campaign that's going on. I think it's called Strive for 5, referring to being in school 5 days a week. And so the schools are doing a lot with their attendance incentives and with messaging to parents to try to make sure that the kids are there as much as possible. And in addition, you'll remember we started, I think a couple years ago, we started releasing these chronic absenteeism reports with our report cards so that parents were aware of the chronic absence rate, not the normally reported daily attendance rate. Another big factor to our achievement scores that's not represented in that attendance information is students that arrive tardy every day. And if you're tardy, you're missing some of the key moments of instruction. And we've heard from the schools that is a huge issue as well. So we're currently working on our chronic absence report cards, and we're going to add a tardiness component to it as well, so that we are reporting that number and that we are ranking students in the red, yellow, green categories, just so parents are aware of the impact that has on instruction. So you'll be hearing more about those both probably at our next board meeting.
And this is for our high schools, the 4-year cohort and the 5-year for the graduation rate, as well as the on track to graduation and the post-secondary. You can see that we have a small decrease in the 5-year cohort. However, we've got an increase in our 4-year cohort. So you see this decrease here. We've got an increase in this cohort of students. On track to graduation, there was minimal change there, but once again, this post-secondary, this is where we took a huge jump for the positive. So we went from partially meeting to meeting standard. But as we look at this, do I have any questions? So we have our administrator data meeting starting next week when we meet with each of our administrators and go over their data. And one of the first things we'll be looking at is their individual school scorecards with them and breaking down their data. So,
When you break down the data with them, do you look at like your chronic absent students numbers versus your non-chronic absent student?
yes, and one of the things that Terry Lynn has really been working with them on, and actually the first principals meeting as school started, was not only looking at those numbers, but generating a list of who those kids are. So who ended the school year last year labeled as a chronically absent student. Let's get on top of that, as school is starting, and using our social workers, our communities and schools coordinators. So we're not just looking at the numbers, but we're even looking specifically at who those kids are and addressing that.
That's good. What about our higher achievers? Are we looking at their numbers to see if we're meeting all of their needs as well, or being able to offer them, even more so that they can hit that green category instead of the blue even?
So that's one thing, especially as we give these benchmarks, because our benchmark scores for our state benchmarks that we take in the fall of each year start very low. The reason why is because it is like taking the summative assessment the first month of school. So if I'm a 4th grade student, I'm taking a test on all my 4th grade standards. So scores are typically low, but one reason we do that is we need to get baseline data so we can track growth. But another huge reason we do that is because we do have high flying students. And so by taking that initial test, we can see who those high flyers are, who's already meeting standard and grade level expectations for their grade at the start of the school year. And so that's data that we look at, and we look at those kids and figure out ways to enrich them and push them along. So.
Excellent. Good information.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Christy, do you all need to get set up?
I've just got one little thing to show.
Okay.
And you'll have a big thing.
Nikki, thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. You can leave me on this.
Well, I can see that now, but they're more technologically advanced than I am. They just move right in with their laptop.
They're used to using that in class.
Thank you.
So of course, Christy is the career launch coordinator for the district, and she's leading our efforts in the internship program. And Wade, who we talked earlier in Austin, has made it in as well. They specifically run the programs at Tulsa and Spring Valley. So both of them are here with us as well.
I'm mostly going to focus on what we're doing here at Wayne. I'll throw in a few things that we're doing countywide just to let you all know where we're heading into the school year. I started the summer with 10 interns in the workforce. They were underclassmen last year, and they continued their employment into the summer with various partners. To date, 5 weeks in, I have placed 48 interns, and I have 3 more that are starting in the spring at Queen's Machine Shop. Now, out of those 48, we have some non-traditional intern experiences. I have 4 Grow Your Own students, 10 MEDEX students, and 5 Marshall University students. And the MEDEX, Grow Your Own, and Marshall University internships are non-traditional in that they're built into the programs that already exist. So with MEDEX, that is our therapeutic services internship program. We are currently transitioning from the old therapeutic services into MEDEX. We are one of the only school systems in the southern part of West Virginia to do that. Cabell County is also doing it with Cabell Midland High School. They have 10 students enrolled, and so do we. What these students will do is they will train with Marshall Health Network employees when they do their clinical hours. And during the second semester of their senior year, they will actually be paid for their clinical hours by Marshall Health Network. At the end, once they pass their certification exam, which I think we have 100% pass rate, they will offer those students full-time positions as either a patient care tech or a medical assistant, whatever they got their certification in. So it's a good way for some of our students to earn a living wage right after graduation. And it's a good way for some of our students to help support themselves as they go on to get their LPN or RN or even move further in that. The Grow Your Own, of course, is the teaching, not really a CTE, but program that we have. Their internship hours are also built into their program, but what we have done is we have partnered with AmeriCorps through the West Virginia Education Alliance, and they are getting paid for those hours as well. Now, there is a cost share to that, and it can be $500 if the students just want to do 100 hours, or it can be $1,000 if the students want to do 300 hours. So last year, I approached Marshall University with their early ed center and asked if there was a way that they could help us come up with some of that funding. And they pledged $3,500 to us in exchange for our students going and doing some of their observation hours at their preschool. So that's been a pretty good payoff. It doesn't completely cover the cost, but at this time, the Education Alliance is covering the cost for us because they said that they don't want us not to be able to participate because of funding issues. And then finally, the Marshall University internship. This is a kind of different one. It's based towards college-bound kids only. And what we are doing is Marshall University is actually coming on campus. They opened up 10 slots. We have 5 of them at Wayne. And they are actually coming onto campus and teaching a Uni 103 career exploration course to our students. They'll come monthly. And then during second semester, those students will be placed in the departments of which they intend to major. And they'll be able to work with the professors on a project. Now, the goal of that is for Marshall University to offer them some type of scholarship or stipend at the end of that. And Marshall University is currently working on what their funding source is going to be for that. So I don't know how much that will be, but it's certainly a great networking tool for our students as they transition from high school students to college students. Another non-traditional internship opportunity that we did last year, and I know Tulsa participated in it as well, was through the Education Alliance, and it was a work-based learning where we participated in Zoom meetings with different employers throughout the state, and they would do different activities with the students and give them tours of their facilities and talk to them about what it takes in order to work for them. At the end of that, we partnered with AEP and did a project to cap all of that off at Wayne. We had 25 English 12 students take part in that. We plan to take part in that again this year, but we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit. And our Math 4 class is going to take the lead on that. The students are going to participate in that. I handed out a list of our business partners. Our first year that we were in existence, we had 10 partners in 22-23. That raised to 15 in 23-24, and now we are up to 19 partners. I want to note that Solar Hauler started out with 5 interns our first year, and now this year they took 12. So that says a lot for our students and how much that they contribute to their business. I'm looking at some more potential partners this year. Last year, I started talking with Marshall University Advanced Manufacturing about a collaboration that we could do with their welding program. And we're continuing those talks. That would be a non-traditional internship. I'm also continuing to talk with Marshall Health Network. They have a need for pharmacy techs. And they're hoping that by spring that we can work all the bugs out and we can actually send some of our students in to be trained as pharmacy techs for Marshall Health Network. Mr. Alexander put me in contact with DJM Architecture. They're doing projects here for the county, and he said that they are willing to work with us and give the students some experience in architecture. And then I thought that this was kind of neat. A couple of weeks ago, Mrs. Stapleton and I were contacted by Grant Spencer. He is actually president of Darnold Lions. That's an HVAC company in Charleston, which is kind of interesting that he reached out to us because Kanawha County and Putnam County also have their own internship programs. And he's actually coming to meet with me and Mr. Tanner in 2 weeks. He wants to talk to the students and stuff, but he is willing to work with us even though his business is based mostly in Charleston. So with that 8-hour release time, you know, he has some jobs, of course, outside the Huntington area, and he's hoping to utilize our students and get them into that. So I think that says a lot about our program that somebody reached out and came to us. Some of the successes that I want to share with you, Ronnie Staley, the third, he has been an intern at the Town of Wayne Water in their wastewater office since last year. He was a junior last year, and this summer he earned his wastewater management certification through the state of West Virginia with those hours that he worked in. And that was one of our goals of this program, was for our students to leave with certifications that they can use upon graduation. Another thing that I want to share, you've heard a lot about the documentary that we've been working on about solar power in the coal fields. Mr. Alexander and I were able to see the full version of the rough cut. It's about 18 minutes long. But I asked Elaine Sheldon, the producer, if she could give us a short clip that maybe you guys could get a feel of what that documentary is looking like, because they are going to continue to follow our students again this year. And instead of just following one, last year they followed Connor Marshall. He was a student at Wayne. They're following 4, 1 from Spring Valley and 3 from Wayne. And this has been a great opportunity for our students. It's going to be a little bit hard to see because it's kind of a dark film, unless if you want to hit the lights, it might be a little bit easier to see. But this is just a few minutes. This is Connor here. What kind of skills have you gained since you've been working on this?
Working with tools, with my hands, working with people, being used to kind of being uncomfortable with something, I guess, rolling with it. It makes life need to be comfortable sometimes and work hard. Sometimes not have to lay down in a really cold puddle or be on a really steep roof, but you're making money doing that. A lot of times if you're not really uncomfortable, then, you might not really be making the money that you want to be making or, the schedule you want to have. So I think that's something really important to, do and learn. I find any way I can to be helpful, whether it's be picking up trash or, carry stuff around or, actually even do that really is important.
Your dad works for the railroad, he hauls coal, and you work for solar. Does that ever inspire any conversations between the two? Two different energy sources?
Well, my dad, he's not like opposed to it. He thinks it's a good industry to do. So, but I think that is a good perspective.
So I think the Sheldons have done some real quality work on that, and that's been a great experience for our students as well. It's given them an experience that most likely they'll only have once in a lifetime. They've learned how to speak in front of others and in front of a camera about themselves and their experiences. They've helped to give them some more confidence with public speaking and stepping outside their comfort zone. And it's also given us the opportunity to showcase our students and our schools and our community in a positive light. So that has been probably one of the best things that I've been involved with since I started doing this, just seeing what they are doing and seeing them out there. This fall, Mrs. Stapleton and I went to the West Virginia CTE conference and presented about our program and how it works. We talked about traditional versus non-traditional opportunities and how we're trying to make a way for all of our students to get an internship experience in the county. And since then, we've been contacted by Hardy County, Harrison County, and Boone County for more information and for some help in some programs that they are working on. Also, it gave us the opportunity to showcase. I asked Joe Bias to create me an app that my students could use in order to check in and out of work that would help us track their hours, track the hours that they're gone from school versus the hours that they're actually at work. And when I first did that, he said, I don't think you know what you're asking me for. I said, yeah, I do. I said, I want an app that says check in, check out. That's what I want. And he said, well, there's more to it than that, Christy, than just a button that says check in, check out. But we started testing that. We started it this summer. It was fairly successful this summer. We're continuing to test it at Wayne. Probably the biggest issue we have is students remembering to use it every time that they go to work, or every time. I've got a lot of students who look like they've been at work for 24 hours because they check in and then they'll forget to check out. So we've got to work on that. For the rest of 24, 25, the personal goals that I have, I'd like to finalize those outstanding contracts that I talked to you about, work a little bit more with our students on the app and how we can better use that. Working with the Region 2 Workforce Investment Board to secure funding so that our business partners can receive funding back for the wages that they're paying our interns, and to seek grant funding to further grow the program. So, thank you. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Wade, you want to step in?
Okay, so far, last year we had 28 students total, and of those 28, there were 12 different companies we were working with. Moving forward to this year, we have 13 students signed up now, and actually there are 12 companies. So we have 2 students working with Champion Industries. It doesn't hurt that Champion Industries' grandson transferred to Tulsa, so hopefully that grows. They have so many opportunities with all the businesses that they run that hopefully we can plug some more kids in. But I don't like to admit it, but we signed an agreement with the Lawrence County Fiscal Court in Louisa, Kentucky. It's close to us. However, the kids do go to Louisa. We don't like that, but we have 2 students working there. I got a kid at Wayne Walmart. We have a father-son logging company in Pritchard, Davis Logging. His son works for him. 2 kids working at an auto care in Louisa, and then another student at a tire shop in Louisa. And then we had a sister that went through the Wayne Nursing Home, Wayne Healthcare Center, and they hired her sister. She graduated and is employed there full time. Now they hired her sister, who's a senior, and she's doing the same thing and working through there. So they must have liked that. It worked out good.
Right.
We have a girl working in Kermit at a restaurant. And then we have, Charles Sammons has a bunch of rental properties all over, and we have a student that works for him as a handyman. So that's what we got so far.
Yeah.
With football season, when that's over with, we should add 5 out of the football team. Then we've got a couple girls in volleyball. So my goal long term is to have 15% of the enrollment in the workforce through Tulsa, which I don't know if that's realistic so most kids at Tulsa, if they play one sport, they play 2. And then we reach all the way to Marvine. So the travel, the job opportunities that are on the southern end of the county, they are what they are, but that's where we're at. And it's growing, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a good start.
Any questions? Last year, we did have a program with Sajefi. We had a mother that was a manager down there, and she got 5 kids on. We haven't been able to rework that this year. Do you guys have any Sajefi?
We do not.
I cannot make it work again, and if anybody knows anybody at Sajefi,
I think there was some change there.
there was, and they laid off some
They
people.
were bought out.
But that's where we're at.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade.
Austin Pratt.
So last year, the first year that we had it at Spring Valley, I had 29 total, with 19 of those continuing to work at their place of business throughout summer. Some have been hired on full time. I have one student who started at Solar Hollow last year that is hired on now, Jason Townsend. A girl, Tia Skidmore, that did the SAS Pro. And she moved to Logan, is working at their salon down there. Probably the most people I have are at Zim's. Zim's bagging was great with our people. Have to be 18, so throughout the school year, more and more kids go out there. But we had people in On the floor, we had two girls from the business CTE program that worked in the office. They're still working there also. And two of the kids on the floor are still working. And then this year, we're up to 15 students. We just had two more interview at Matheny Motor. Actually, I didn't count my GYO students. I haven't put them on my spreadsheet. We have GYO students too. I think we have, she told me 6. We had 6 last year. Yeah, the biggest thing I've noticed, like Christy said, it helps these students, we're kind of there as an advocate for them. These kids that probably would struggle in a job interview, we can sit there and kind of help them, encourage them, help them with their resumes, that type of stuff. And then, even another kid that we had at Solar Hollow last year, he wasn't hired on full time, but his confidence level grew so much and was able to go out and get another job at I think he's working in an oil change position there in West Huntington somewhere. So that's the biggest thing I've seen that have really helped the kids go out. Confidence, resume, sending emails, that type of stuff that they probably hadn't had any experience doing. I brought Lorenzo Travis with me today. He was hired at Matheny Motors last year. He was in our auto CTE program. Wanted to be a diesel mechanic. They were hiring an intern with the diesel mechanic shop. He was perfect for the job. I asked him to come out. He was in the interviews last week. All they did was brag about Lorenzo. Lorenzo's basically running the show out there. So I wanted him to come out and
Sure.
give his opinion on what he's done. They've kind of implied they're going to offer him a full-time position once he graduates in the spring, and which is really cool. Lorenzo lost both his parents when he was younger, so it was just pretty special to him to have that opportunity, and going to be able to stay local and stay there hopefully his whole life. Lorenzo, what do you?
Well, thanks to Pratt for getting me into the internship program, because it really did help in my life. Because like he was saying, how my parents passed away, I inherited my dad's house whenever I turned 18. So it'd be kind of hard to pay on all that right out of high school.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got into the internship with the Beanies, and they really helped me out because, I just do whatever they tell me up there. They said they'd probably hire me on full time if I was good enough. So go up there, do what they tell me to do, and they say I do a pretty decent job, so happy about that.
What made you interested in going to Matheny's?
Well, for a lot of my life, I rode like dirt bikes, four-wheelers and stuff, so I liked working on them. So I actually went to Wayne Middle and then ended up going to Valley for the auto program. So I got into there and thought I'd have to go to a trade school. And thankfully that I got into this program, and now I'm going to Matheny's, which they said they'll probably end up paying for all my schooling.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
So that's good.
Oh,
So I don't have to worry about stuff whenever I graduate, worry about paying for a trade school or a college, so I can just make money and they can pay for it too.
How often are you out there during the week?
I go out there one full school day.
And how are you doing keeping up with your coursework?
Oh, I'm doing good. I only have, I'm taking auto again for a third year. They have me in there as sort of like an internship thing to teach people in that class. And then I have my 3 core classes. I have English, math, and history.
we're proud of you.
32 hours in the summer.
We are. That's great.
Throughout the summer months.
Yes, very proud.
The what type of things do you do out in Matheny's?
I do a lot of everything. If they ask me to sweep something up, do that. If they want me to come work on something with them, teach me whatever, just anything they tell me to do, I just do that.
That's what you do, isn't it?
So you're picking up some experience and skills there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you I can tell you, we're always looking for mechanics here.
Yeah.
And not only us, but everybody else is looking for mechanics too.
Absolutely.
So you keep yourself on track there, and you finish up and get certified there. You're going to be able to pick your spot where you want to work.
Right.
You've got a head start on a lot of people. You
Yes,
know that?
I'm very lucky. thankful for it.
Well,
We
we're
appreciate you.
thankful too. It's great.
Appreciate you
Really
coming out
is.
and talking.
Yes,
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
Very proud.
tickled to death. So glad you
Great.
came.
Thanks. Any questions for Ian?
Yes.
Greg Boston, did you have
Very
anything?
positive.
No,
No.
we had another kid interviewed out there. He's a pretty good CTE kid in Ohio class too. I'm hoping he gets in the body shop
That's fantastic.
and maybe have the same opportunity.
That's wonderful. That's perfect. That's the whole goal of the program.
Exactly, yeah.
So
So it's
do
all
the
about.
kids come to you to, if they're interested in being part of it, or do you kind of seek them out? Or is it kind of a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. If we know that, at least the way that I handle it at Wayne is if I know that we have like solar hauler, we'll send that out on a remind text that we are taking applications for that and get them out to as many kids as we can. But if I know of a student that I think will be a good fit for something, then I'll seek them out and ask them to apply. And I think something that's interesting to note is, our students at the various high schools are interviewing against each other for these programs. And
That's good.
I think it's great. I think it's great that, that they're that competitive with each other,
Right.
Well, and to me, it's such an opportunity because, so many of these kids, when they come out of high school, they don't know a thing about a resume. They don't know anything about a job interview. And here they're getting all that experience, getting their heads up, and actually getting employed. I mean, I think it's a win-win. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
Well, and we've had some students that thought that they wanted to do something specifically.
Yeah.
And then went out and experienced it a little bit and changed their mind.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
And
so
it's
that's
good.
valuable.
Right.
I do want to say about Connor, I should have mentioned it. He is now a full-time student. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He thought he wanted to go work for UPS, is what he kept saying he was going to do after
Yeah.
graduation. But he's a full-time student at Marshall University Advanced Manufacturing in their welding program through the Invest Grant, which pays for everything. And his
That's
parents
great.
are just thrilled that he's decided to go in that direction of a trade.
Awesome. So
Also,
good.
I'll add, some of these kids, they have to have a 2.5 GPA. So some of these kids are kind of borderline on that. It's giving them incentive.
Yeah.
They want to work. I mean, most of those kids want to go out and work. And
Sure.
most of them kind of kick it in gear with their grades to get that 2.5 and to be able to reach the requirements to do the job. And I've seen that part of it too.
Right, and I know that we've had instances where they had to be pulled back from their
Yeah.
internship
Yeah.
because their grades were not
Yeah.
where they needed to be. And I know Christie, I know in our first year, you had a situation like that where you had to pull a kid back until those grades were brought up, so. we're going-
I'm really proud of that kid. He actually graduated last year, and he spoke to our underclassmen when we did our CTE walkthrough day. And he said, "When Mrs. Booten says that she'll pull you, like she's not kidding. She'll pull you." But he is now working full-time through the Millwrights local. I think it's 10.
It's awesome.
Is
Isn't
the
it great?
number, so. And he asked if he could come back and talk to the kids again about the internship program. He
Wow.
said it's a really good thing. And he was not on a really good track when he started
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
internship program.
That's
So
what I was
we kinda
wondering,
get
Yeah.
if you
Kind of
would
move.
be able to look
Yeah.
and see, and then place certain kids that may be at risk for dropping out or whatever
Yeah.
with certain partners, just to keep them interested and involved.
Yeah.
If you've seen a difference there. I'm sure you don't have chronic absenteeism as a problem with these students once they get,
Do you guys use attendance on your
We do.
students? We do.
We do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so anything to keep them involved and interested.
I miss, there's a lot of students in Spring Valley that want to work. And I've noticed a lot of those kids that are in the dual credit or the Marshall class, it's just tough for them to miss. So some of those kids don't really,
Get that opportunity.
yeah, they just say, I can't miss classes. So
Right.
probably some of the upper level ones that we're missing out on, but they're college-bound students.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest ones, like when you go and approach them, they're always like, yeah, I can't miss the
English 101s and that type of stuff.
Right. Understandable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much. Very enlightening.
Very
And we know
good
you
news.
guys gotta work tomorrow, so if you wanna sneak out, go for it.
We won't hold it
You don't
against
have to
you.
day off for
Only way,
Oh,
only way.
Need to get it
Had to
right.
ask, right? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Don't run, Wade. You can walk out, okay? Love you, buddy. How you doing? How's your mama?
Well, I said that she ain't feeling good.
See you, buddy.
See you. Be careful. All right. Any other good news? Anyone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you're familiar, yesterday,
Oh,
Kellogg
Yeah.
Elementary was named the National Blue Ribbon School. And on Monday, September 23rd, United States Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona recognized the 24 class of National Blue Ribbon schools. There were 356 schools across the country that earned the award, including Kellogg Elementary School was one of 3 schools in West Virginia that received the award.
Very nice.
The quote that came from U.S. Secretary of Education Cardona was that the National Blue Ribbon Schools Award is a testament to the exceptional achievements of students and educators at each of these schools. The 2024 National Blue Ribbon Schools are raising the bar for our nation's students, serving as models for effective teaching and intentional collaboration in their schools and communities. As we celebrate their achievements, let us look to these schools for inspiration as we champion education as the foundation of a brighter future for every child. Now, the reason that these schools are selected is for 2 reasons. For being an exemplary high-performing schools. They're among their top performers in their state as measured by state assessments or nationally normed tests, and also for closing the achievement gap. These schools excel in narrowing achievement gaps between different student groups and the overall student body. So, for example, there's not discrepancies between a special education population or students with that are in the low socioeconomic status category. There's not a big gap between them and the general student body. And Kellogg is a school with high expectations, and those high expectations extend to every single child in that building. And that's why they were able to produce the results that earned this award. So we are certainly proud of them. Later on in the fall, in early November, representatives from the school and myself will be in Washington, D.C. for the school to receive the award. So we're very proud of them.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's why.
Fantastic. It'll be hard to top any other good news on top of that one. So we'll move on to our informational items then. No school for students on Friday, October 4th. It's a professional learning day, faculty senate. Regular meeting on Tuesday, October 8th, beginning at 6 here in the conference room. We have a fall break, October 11th through the 14th. We also have a special meeting on Tuesday, October 15th, at 4 o'clock, Buffalo Elementary, and Buffalo Middle to follow at 5:15. Regular meeting on Tuesday, October 22nd at 6 at Tulsa High School. And then a special meeting on Tuesday, October 29th at 4 at Dunlow. And then Genoa Elementary will follow at 5:15. Any conflicts? Everyone okay with those? All right. Construction project update.
The most significant update we have is Wayne Elementary School. The major improvement project is underway there. Last time we spoke, they had added some additional parking at the school because, we're going to be working in the parking lot down there at the school, which was going to take away some spaces. So those additional spots have been added, and the earthwork has begun, and they are scheduled this week to begin digging and pouring footers for the school.
Wow.
Our solar project, they are wrapping up things at Sarita Canova Elementary, the installation there, and they are scheduled to start next at Crum Pre-K through 8. That's the most significant movement since our last meeting.
Gotcha.
All our other projects, thankfully, are wrapping up.
Wrapping up.
September 30th was our deadline
Yeah.
to have money expended out of our
Yeah. it's for-
ESSER funds that we had designated for infrastructure spending. And we were down to, Jeb, what was it? We were down to about 750,000 was left. We've closed out the windows projects. We've closed out the HVAC project down at Wayne Elementary School. We paid more on the multi-school HVAC project. I think we signed off on about $500,000 yesterday. So we're on track to have that money out the door here by September 30th, and that will close out those projects.
Been good though.
It's been a lot.
Put to good use, that's for sure.
Wonder if we'll be able to take care of facilities and keep them up. They've needed it for years and years and years.
That's the goal. All right. I don't think we have any delegations this evening.
No.
Superintendent reports.
Okay, so there's two items. Both of those relate to finances, so I'll turn it over to Jeb.
We couldn't wait.
Didn't have an extensive list this time.
Just want to talk about finances.
Thank you, Dave.
So we wrapped up our
Okay.
year-end results. And the handout I just gave you basically is what's going to be in the paper tomorrow.
Okay.
Required publication, but, you know, publish every year. Didn't finish where I thought we would, but we did better off. We could have. You look at the first page, this is, you're looking at the district-wide statement of acquisition. It's basically a consolidated balance sheet of all of our funds. Start off, assets and deferred outflow of resources. You can see, cash, we have about 10 million in cash. We have about 900,000 tax receivables. Down the page. The largest portion of our assets, about 90.3% is our investment in capital assets. Last year, they added a new GASB, these right to use assets. It's called a SAVITA. It's a subscription-based information technology arrangement, abbreviations. They've added these. Total assets for the year, 124 billion, 125 billion. We have some deferred outflows, resources. Total assets and total deferred outflow with resources, 130 million, 130.3 million, 0.4 million. Excuse me. Then we have our liabilities, our outflow with resources, and then our net position. Again, most of our net position is in capital investment. The next page is our balance sheet. This lists all our funds. We have 8 funds. The first one to the left is our general fund. We have our special revenue fund. 65 is our special revenue school activity fund. 71 is the special revenue ESSER fund, which is going away this year. Debt service fund, bond construction fund, permanent improvement fund, and capital projects fund.
fund we're most concerned with is, I keep telling Mr. Alexander, is Fund 11. That's what we control, so.
Yep.
Our fund balance this year started at 5.3 million, and we finished up at 2.8 million. And a decrease in fund balance, and that change in fund balance of 2.4 million. At the end of June, I told you all I expected a 1.5 million decrease. We didn't hit it, so. If you look up Fund 71, part of the reason we didn't hit our projection. On Fund 71, we have a $2.5 million receivable.
Just waiting to come back.
That money comes back.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, we had a deficit. We spent so much money in Fund 71, and we had a negative cash balance. So to cover that, we had to put some money in. That is a timing difference. That money comes back.
Right.
On the next page, we have our statement of revenue, expenditures, and change in fund balance. This is basically our income statement, the way I look at it. And again, Fund 11, I look at Fund 11. Total revenues for the year, we had 76.8 million, 76.9 million. Total expenditures is 75.4 million. So we were, at this point in time, we're still 1.5 million to the good. We had some transfers in for indirect costs, transfers out. $4 million transfers out. We transferred money into special revenue fund, transferred money into school activity fund. Here where we transferred that $1.5 million to the ESSER fund. We also transferred 900,000 into PI fund, which we've been monitoring all along. In the capital projects fund, we transferred money in there, but we budgeted to transfer money in there, and that basically covers our QZAC payment. QZAC payments. Due to the timing of the drawdown of what we had drawn from the ESSER fund, if we hadn't had to cover that, instead of being a 2.4 net change decrease, we would have been about 870,000. So, again, that money comes back. Our fund balance, instead of being 2.8 million, it'd be a 4.4 million. Basically a timing difference.
And by timing, we had bills come in on the infrastructure projects. We had to front the money to pay those bills and then claim the money from the state office, which is holding the federal dollars. But because we hadn't received that money at the time that you had to close the books, it shows 2.8 instead of 4.3, 4.4.
You have to spend it to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all about when it goes out and when they send it back to you.
So at the end of June, we were originally projecting we'd be around 3.5, correct? So we would have ended up slightly better than what we had projected, which is good news. Have we received this 1.5 million yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're still waiting on that to come in.
Yes. We did.
Okay. Okay.
It's actually 2.5 days. Yeah.
So it's back. That's good.
Okay.
So if we were to look at these numbers today, they would be,
If you look at these numbers today, it would be 171 would be flush. Since it's going to be closed, that money would revert back
to
into
the Fund 11. Okay, so that would bump that back up.
The next page is really, really, really hard to read. Spans all these, maybe like good, get them on one page. It's basically a reconciliation that reconciles the district-wide statements. Revenue and expenditure statements. The key number is the total net change in the fund balance is around 452,000. Last year or this year, total fund balance is increased 452,000. The rest of this is the reconciliation. The next page is supplemental schedule of debt. This is our bond issue back in 2014. We issued 18 million. We retired 10,560,000. We currently have 7,440,000 outstanding. This thing's scheduled to mature on June 1st, 2029. We're knocking this out pretty quick. In the next several pages, supplemental schedule of expenditures. We have salary for professional personnel, salaries of board officials, salaries of service personnel, those salaries. And then we have all of our expenditures over $250. And all of this is going in the paper tomorrow. We do have a list of the people under 250. We do have to cover staff. And a lot of that, somebody asks how it is. I guess this is
Right.
And then the last statement is this signature statement. Basically says, you don't believe these statements are correct, but these are in our audit. So it's kind of hard to pull the words.
And then we have the, on the agenda tonight, we're hiring, you're approving the purchase order for us to bring the auditor in to,
That's for the schools.
okay.
Yeah, coming in, doing our school audits. We're also coming in.
That's Fife Jones. Yeah. Any questions? It's a lot of material in there. You might not be able to digest it this quickly, so obviously you'll be able to take that with you. If you have any questions, you can follow up with Jeb or me, and we'll be glad to get any information that you need. Next up on this reports is the monthly expenditure report, and that's in your separate attachment items.
Thank you, Jeb.
Jeb, all the items on here are Fund 11, the
Yeah.
general fund, correct?
That's all that is.
next month when we receive this report, will be changes to it. Currently, I haven't encountered the payroll yet. So, Ken is still, we're still adding people, getting payroll squared. Before I close out the month, this month, all but I hope to encumber payroll, and it'll change. Yes.
Okay, and
Early right now in the yearly expenditures. Not much.
Right under the trench, big time.
That didn't hurt too bad.
Nah. Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Any other questions?
Belt tightened.
All right.
Right, Jeff?
Keep it tight.
Keep our belt tightened.
I can't hear you.
We'll keep our belt tightened.
All right. Any other reports? You good?
no, I'm good.
Okay. Board directives, board reports. We did attend the
Yes, we did.
state meeting
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago and
Learned a lot.
came away with a lot of good information.
Yes.
It was a long day, but
Yeah,
I think it was worth it.
it was. A lot of it was overload, but yeah,
Yeah.
they repeated a lot. I guess for you newbies.
It was enjoyable from my couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Johnny, they're waiting on you. Yeah,
All right.
whatever.
All right. We don't have any
Same
unfinished
thing y'all
business.
did.
So we'll move on to our new business consent action items. Superintendent recommends approval of the following action items. Additional items received prior to the time of the meeting may be added. Discussion and or separate action items may be requested by the members of the board, superintendent, and these items are subject to change. Any blanks will be filled in prior to the meeting. In the event nominees withdraw, we reserve the right to put the next candidate in that position. Number one, consider for approval the recommended personnel matters on pages 1 through 4.
I make
Motion.
a motion to approve as revised.
Yeah, and the revisions are on page 1.
Yeah.
There was one person that was removed off the
Exactly.
termination list for substitute teachers. The folks on this list, some of these folks haven't subbed in a couple of years.
That's what I figured, yeah.
So, yeah, we sent out notices
Yeah.
that if you wanted to remain on the list, you just needed to let us know. Otherwise, we were going to clean the list up.
Figured that's what
And
it
it's
was.
important to do that because when you have people on the list that aren't active, that, the call out
You're
system
still calling.
takes the time to go through there. So we want to keep it as clean as possible. And so we have an accurate number of the number of substitutes we actually have working. So we had a number of people that did call in and wanted to stay on the list. And so those folks remained, but in the cases here, it's time to go ahead and remove them from the list.
But these are the ones where the principals actually call them, right? They don't go through the system, do they?
The professionals, I think the professionals go through the calling system. I mean, they don't have to.
That's what I mean.
They can be assigned.
That's the difference. That's what I'm
Right.
saying with service personnel.
Yeah.
These principals can call someone if they want to.
Yeah,
If they
and
don't
the
want to.
teachers can
Or the
call
teachers
somebody.
can, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like a rule.
Right.
Okay.
Need a second?
So we have a motion to approve
I'll
as
second it.
revised by
Well, and
Johnny.
the
Yeah,
other
they-
revision was on page 2. There were 2 bus drivers that had bid on after-school runs.
Mhm.
And it just so worked out that they were the top 2 in seniority for the 2 runs, and they switched which ones they wanted, but they had both bid on both
Well, good.
jobs.
Okay. So those are the only revisions.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion by Johnita, second by Dennis for personnel matters as revised.
Just for the record, Susan Crowell on page 3 is not a relationship so.
That's
Good to know.
Susan Troutman. All right. Any other questions or concerns on personnel matters? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 2, consider for approval voucher payments for August 2024, page 5 through 14. Motion,
I'll make it.
Dennis, second. Brandy. Questions or concerns on those voucher payments?
We sent you information on the Amazon payments.
Yes.
That was the one that stuck out. Everything else, you've approved through the PO system or
Right.
had a quick explanation in case you had any questions on anything.
I'm guessing on page 10, maybe a typo. Maybe this is how the person spells her name. It's Samantha Merritt, it's spelled.
Oh, I think I left that on.
Page, no, it's got page 6 at the bottom, and page 10 at the top. I just wonder if there's a typo there.
I'm doing 1999.
Oh, that's the thing you brought to
Yeah.
Amazon. I didn't bring that with me.
Oh, and
What was it?
Sorry.
that.
There it is.
It is.
All in that.
In the big
In
Amazon.
the
or
big
in the-
Amazon or
No, it's the accounts payable.
Okay.
That's the solid.
what page?
What page is-
6 at the bottom of page 10 at the top corner. We've got
Oh, I see. It was the 163,430.
Yeah.
just the way
This
it's-
looks like it's probably a typo, I'm guessing.
That's the way it's current.
Is that the way it's spelled? Okay.
I mean, that's, you may be wrong, but that's basically.
I just found it.
Samantha,
Samantha.
What page?
page 6 at the bottom,
I'll add to it now.
Yeah, it's different. Okay.
about a quarter of the way up from the bottom. 163,430.
Yeah, Samantha Merritt.
That looks like it's missing an
Yeah.
A.
But it's just in Weavis like that.
Yeah, we'll
I
check
mean,
it.
it
The
just
system.
has to be corrected because she's been paid before. We just didn't catch it.
All right, any other questions or concerns on those voucher payments? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 3, consider for approval, I'm sorry,
No, I'm sorry. We were talking about the Amazon, when you look through that, which, and I know, there's a lot of like little things like pencils and
Right.
notebook paper and all that. Is there any way they could do that at Walmart or somewhere, maybe get it cheaper instead of,
or do we have a cap for like department
because
office supplies, or is it just kind of order what you need when you
used
need?
to, we actually had supplies ordered and they were kept here in different parts of bottom, but they, you got them here, but I was just, that was before Walmart,
Right,
or
or Amazon?
they'd order them from wherever.
And
But I just wondered about that, if they could, because you can get,
Most of the small stuff honestly comes from the Title I funds that are assigned to the schools that,
well,
they'll,
right, because
they'll
that's
assign a
Walmart,
certain
yeah,
amount to each
Yeah.
teacher.
but that's more I know that's special ed.
Yeah, and special education, the federal funds. It's
Exactly.
federal funds that they're spending that. I mean, we can look and see.
I mean, I wondered if
Maybe
they
do
could
some
get a-
price checking.
Like a Walmart card?
There
Just
was
like,
one.
I don't know, with title, if,
I think it's convenient for the teachers because they can do it at a computer. They don't have to go out.
right, exactly. Oh, I thought they ordered those in the central office. They don't, the big order.
Well, they send in a list of
Okay,
what they want.
okay, that's fine. No problem.
And a purchase requisition
Right.
for it.
Gotcha.
And so, but we can look at the logistics of all that.
It's all about the money.
I mean, we have Walmart cards for everyone. Available for every school.
But that's what I wondered, because,
And I guess they could order it off Walmart as well.
right.
Of course, that's not gonna
Oh, I just meant if
help the
they,
local.
right.
Yeah, they got special places on the parking lot now.
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, mine is no big deal. I was just wondering if they had the Walmart card, they could.
I mean, little things like that could add up, and we're just trying to pinch pennies here and there, so.
The card stock, I did notice that. I'm very familiar with paper prices. And it was pretty expensive for 200 sheets when you're talking about $15 for 200 sheets. I thought that was,
See there?
that's extreme.
Did they order it from, they was ordering it
It
from
was
Amazon?
Amazon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I saw one for notebook paper, like 36 packages of notebook paper, and it was like $350 or
Yeah,
something.
You know
So,
you could get it.
I mean, $10
I thought-
for a package of notebook paper seems a
The
little.
card stock that I noticed was for the bus garage, actually.
Okay.
We do have a large supply, but in the shop.
So it saves
So
you
that's
using Amazon?
Exactly right.
It saves quite a bit using Amazon?
No, he's saying in some circumstances it can be more.
Seems Like
Yeah.
it's more expensive.
That was just something to think about.
Agreed.
Okay.
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 Number 3, again, consider for approval the purchase requisition order and quotes in excess of $5,000. That's pages 15 through 26. Motion,
Motion.
Johnny, second, anyone?
Not
Dennis? Questions or concerns on those?
There's one I want to,
Yes.
there's one I want to pull until I have a little bit more information on it.
Okay.
And that is the Edwards Educational Services.
Page 21.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pull that.
We had some conversations about what the plans are for those services, and we have not, I don't have that information yet. So just until I get that information, I'll pull it back. I might
Okay,
bring
yeah.
it back to you at the next meeting. So again, yeah, that's page 21. Just gonna pull that.
82230.
I have just a question on page 19.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, I just wanted to know what it was more than anything, the co-teaching observation.
I
18
wondered
days
about that too.
online.
Yeah, this is a consultant that comes in and works with school districts on improving the co-teaching that's going on in the services for special education students that are assigned to the regular classroom. So they come in and they do training specifically with staff on appropriate co-teaching techniques.
Okay, so
And
they
then-
actually do come in, it's not
Yeah.
online?
Yep,
Okay.
they come in and they do, and that's on page 18. You'll notice there's 2 POs. So on page 18, they come in and they do 2 days of training with that particular group. And then on page 19 is the follow-up. It's the them coming in and doing co-teaching observations, and then also doing some online coaching with teachers and administrators in regards to the making sure that those techniques that are being utilized are appropriate.
And we cut into that a whole lot with our master teachers and cohorts.
Yes, we do in general for the majority of our work. Yes, we use our master teachers for that. This particular group has been working with our special education teachers, specifically co-teachers, for the last few years.
So this is not.
This is a
new.
continuation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my
And
next
I
question.
can't cite off the top of my head, but they've worked with other schools so that we're basically moving them by level and by region throughout the county. And again, this money is, these are special ed funds that are there to support professional development for our special ed staff. So it's federal dollars. And the reports, I haven't seen their work personally, but the reports that we've received is that it has been effective because we, as I mentioned, we're bringing them back.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions? Anyone? I don't think I have anything else. All right, so this purchase requisition as revised, which we're going to pull page 21. Johnita made the motion, Dennis made the second.
Yeah.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. New business, separate action items. Number one, consider for approval the treasurer report for August 2024, page 27.
I make a motion.
Oh,
You
okay.
did, Randy?
Randy?
Randy,
I'll second.
second. Dennis. Any other questions or concerns on the treasurer report? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number two, consider for approval the budget supplement and transfers for August 2024, page 28 through 30. Motion,
Motion.
Jonita. Second,
Second.
Mark. Questions or concerns on those? None?
And
All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Three, consider for approval the contract between Wayne County Board of Education and ASM Global for a facility rental for graduation. And that's a separate attachment.
It's pages 2 through 29.
Civic Center.
Yeah,
And it's $28,000
yes,
for two
Which-
schools, right?
Two schools.
which is
Do the
the,
schools pay anything on that?
yeah, it's minimal. We pay the majority of it, what,
Well,
20,
sure.
21,000, I think we pay. And then, the schools are charged for, some of the surcharges that come in with it, the video setup, that type of
Right,
thing.
okay.
There was a time that the schools paid for all of it.
I know they did. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
and so
I figured it would just be minimal,
Yeah, we,
maybe what they would have paid for their own at their school.
yeah, we wanted to include Wayne in it. So I know Wayne raises funds to help pay for that, but we've kept the charge to them minimal and have helped with county funds
Yeah.
to be able to do this.
Okay,
I think, Randy, you had a concern, didn't you?
yes, Randy.
Yeah, we're gonna rate, well, we made the motion yet?
No, we actually haven't. So motion,
Motion,
Randy,
Randy,
second,
me.
Jonita. Now we can discuss.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
the concern I had is on page number 12. And I'm getting, my assumption is it's probably in there earlier years maybe, but under the reservation of rights, it's got ASM Global reserves all rights, not specifically granted a licensee, yada, yada, yada. And you get down near the end, it says that ASM Global will have the sole right to determine whether alcoholic beverages will be sold during the event. We don't sell alcoholic beverages as far as I know, at any sports events or any
Or
other.
graduation.
events.
Oh, no, yeah, especially graduation.
Ideally, I'd like to have that deleted. And if it's not deleted, I'll never vote to approve the contract again.
I knew you'd find something. I just.
Yeah.
It's up to you, buddy.
If you can, so what I'd recommend is we
Yeah.
just,
Did they have a clerk look that up?
what I'd recommend is that we revise, and I'm confident that they're not going to try to
Yeah.
sell
Yeah.
alcohol at our graduation.
Right.
I think it'd be such a horrible experience.
Yeah. It wouldn't be worth it for them. But anyway, I recommend we just change the approval of the contract to include the absence of that particular sentence. So if you'll give me authorization to sign the contract, as long as that particular sentence is removed,
Sure.
And then-
Advise then?
then that way it'll let us get the place booked. And
Right.
So you need a motion to give you the approval?
yeah, so and the well, we've got a motion and a second. I don't know how you want to do that.
Right.
As
We need to-
revised on
as
the contract?
revised
So I think we just keep it open-ended that the board gives me approval to go ahead and execute the contract as long as the alcohol issue in the contract is addressed.
Yes.
And it doesn't leave freedom to the Civic Center to sell alcohol at our graduations. And then I'll let our lawyer figure out how to
do
modify the
that
contract with them.
Okay.
And then of course, once we get that done, I'll bring it back to you.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah. But
not
go
for
ahead.
approval, but just for
Right.
your,
Right.
for your reading in
So
case
then-
you have any concerns.
Right. So the motion will include the ability for our superintendent to ratify the contract as long as
Yeah.
that statement about alcohol beverages has been eliminated.
eliminated or
Or
modified, and the rights to sell alcohol at the event
Yes.
are removed from the
Gotcha.
contract.
That little whole sentence. Gee, weren't we signed this before?
Probably.
Probably.
I think it's
Probably
probably a
just a
standard
standard, yeah.
contract
Yeah.
that they use for most events.
Right.
Way
So,
to go, Randy.
we even have them cover up the signs in the arena.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
Bud
But
Light,
we
we
just
have
have
them covered up. So
But it's good to have, I
It's
think
never
it'd be
been an
good to
issue.
have it all out of the bars.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
So, any other questions or concerns about the contract? None? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Make-
carries 5-0. That's a
May
big motion.
disappoint some people.
A little mad. All right, number
All
4,
right.
consider for approval the agreement between Mountain State Educational Service Corporation, and the Wayne County Board of Education to provide a clerk of the works September 6th through June 30th.
This is similar to what we did on the Wayne Middle School MIP. So the school, since this is a school building authority project, they require that we have a clerk of the works in place. And that's somebody there that's our eyes and ears, monitors what times the contractors are there, what kind of materials are being brought in, and participates in the construction meetings. So again, similar to Wayne Middle School MIP, there's 2 of these items on your agenda just because we anticipate that it's going to last through next August. So there's one that closes out this financial year through June 30th, 2025, and then one that opens up from July 1st, 2025 through August 30th, 2025 to hopefully have the project
And
What
this-
complete.
project
which
is
one
that?
this?
This is the Wayne Elementary School.
Elementary.
That's what I thought, one elementary,
Yeah, and
pre-K.
yeah, the major improvement project, the 3-room addition.
I make a motion.
And the contract is with
Okay.
James Watts, and he was our clerk of the works at the Wayne Middle School MIP.
Okay.
So he would continue in those services. But he'll be an employee of Mountain State, and those are at-will employees.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So if the project would happen to end early, then we simply end the contract at that point.
Sure.
All
Made
right.
the motion.
Dennis made the motion. Second,
Second.
Randy. Any other questions or concerns on that particular clerk of the work? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 5, again, MSESC and the Wayne County Board for Clerk of the Work Services, July 1st through August 30th. That's the continuation. So, motion,
Motion.
second,
Second.
Randy. Any other questions on that particular employment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
As we move into the Buffalo project, there's companies that provide construction management services that go well beyond what a clerk of the works can do. And I'm going to be very interested and might recommend to you that we pursue those construction management services because that is that's a big project.
Yeah.
It's a renovation and a new construction, and it's tying those 2 together. And I would rather probably go that route and look for the best services that we could possibly find. So we're exploring that right now. So there might not be a clerk of the works for that project. It might be the construction management
Okay.
services.
I think you're right.
I do too. I think that's
You
a
got
good idea.
traffic patterns, maybe even need land acquisitions right of ways anyway.
Well, and they get involved earlier in the process. They get involved in the design process and have an eye on it in looking to stretch our dollar as far as it will go.
Right.
So,
Good.
I don't have that type of background to be able to do that near as effectively as it needs to be done. And our folks internally are limited in that. A clerk of the works really isn't designed for that. So I think having another and our architects do that work as well. But just having another eye in there on our behalf is a good thing.
Good thinking.
All right. Number 6, consider for approval out-of-state travel request. our employees traveling to Washington DC for open house, September 21st and 22nd.
So
Motion.
I had sent a message to you that
Yeah.
this was going to happen.
Second.
Dennis made the motion, Janita made the second. Hope they had
I saw
Good trip.
I saw a picture of them on the White House lawn. I don't know
Yeah.
if you saw that picture or
Yeah.
not. It was on Sharon
That's
Cole's, it was on the Sharon Cole's Facebook page through the Department of Education. And so I'm thrilled that they got the opportunity to go up there and to visit.
Are these some of her teachers there at the school?
Yeah, it was four of her colleagues there at Sarita
Okay,
Canova
I
Elementary
thought
School.
it was. I was just checking.
Yeah.
That's great.
all in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 7, consider for approval out-of-state field trip request on page 31 for Wayne Elementary Kindergarten to travel to Noble Family Farms in Minford, Ohio on October 10th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Johnita. Second? Second by Randy. Questions or concerns?
Is that thunder?
That's what I was just wondering.
Sounds like thunder.
Out there.
Oh,
It's been a long time since we've heard that.
I know.
No questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 8, consider for approval the revision to existing policy for further admin review, further board review, or 10-day public comment. And these are our first readings.
Okay, and I'm gonna have to pull the 3120.12. We should have had that listed on here for your approval. It's already been out for 10-day
Oh,
comment.
okay.
It should have been on here for approval and not for
First reading.
administrative review
Yeah,
or to
'cause we
put
already-
back out for 10-day public
Okay.
comment. So we'll bring it back to you at your next meeting for approval. The staff use of personal communication devices, the 7530.02, that policy that we have talked about, we've talked about what language would be utilized there. So I think you have that in your separate
We
attachments.
do, yeah. That's our first reading, right? Because
Yeah, so the recommendation would be to take it to 10-day public comment and, unless you have concerns with the way it's written.
No, I don't. I just had a question about, it says, staff use of personal communication devices. But we have, staff that actually have board issued cell phones.
Mhm.
And I think it mentions that too. I just kind of like to know how many employees that we do have who have cell phones and we pay service for.
We can, I can get you a list.
I'd appreciate that.
I know
And,
at one time I kind of knew the number and that number
That's
hasn't,
okay.
that number hasn't changed, but
But I would kind of like to know because I think when you read this, it talks differently about it.
Now they've got those Dick Tracy watches too.
A board issued phone or whatever, so
mhm.
I don't know.
Okay. So we can still put that one out for 10-day
Yeah.
comment.
Okay,
You need a motion.
A motion.
For today on that.
Yes, please.
I'll second. Okay, Mark second.
Randy made the motion. Mark has the second for 10-day comment on
Yes.
policy 7530.02. Any other questions or concerns? All in favor? Any opposed?
And Todd pulled that
Motion
one.
carries 5-0.
Okey-doke.
Potential items for a future agenda.
I was going to mention those construction management services, but I just took advantage of
Took
the
advantage of
topic earlier. And so
Put that right in there.
that's all I had. And then we mentioned, we're going to talk about our attendance campaign. And then we're also going to take a look at those chronic absence report cards at a future meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and make note of that. So we get that on one of the upcoming agendas.
And we'll find out about the tardies too, right?
Yes.
Can,
Tardies used to be listed on report cards.
Back in the day.
It
Well, back
is,
in
and
the
there's
day,
a number,
Yes,
there's a
back in the
number,
day.
but we like to put a scale on it
I know, yeah. I mean, I just,
Throw some
and
color on
color
it.
code it
yeah.
It seems
to get
catch.
attention.
What's the possibility of having Kellogg come in and kind of give us a presentation on their, however,
Their
what they do
techniques.
to include their special education
Yeah.
population in their
Sure.
gen ed classes and
That'd be great.
see if maybe they have some ideas about bridging that gap.
We've talked to them extensively about it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some schools that are doing the same thing and we're
Right.
seeing good results, but I'd love to have them come describe it.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
And one other thing I was thinking about while we were sitting here is, I know we have our Grow Your Own Teachers program.
Mhm.
What's the possibility of doing like an ECAT, Grow Your Own? Somebody who's not really interested in the,
Greg
That-
is exploring that.
okay.
So shouldn't that kind of lead in with that grow your own though? I mean,
Well,
when
the
you
Grow
start
Your
there,
Own, you
because
have
could-
to do the advanced courses. You can't take just the general, like it used to
Like a
be.
high school.
You're in advanced
It's
courses.
my understanding the Grow Your Own program, you can't just take the two there's not the 4 basic courses like in the CTE
Right,
program.
like it used to be.
It's all a dual credit.
Yes.
The entire program is dual credit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're officially enrolled in the Grow Your Own, you have to do those advanced courses and you have to do specific college credit courses.
Yeah.
I think could be intimidating to a lot of students
Yeah.
who may want to be a teacher, but they don't want to do
So
that
the-
type of.
Sure.
The state had the same idea, and so they are adding a, and I'm brain dead at this time of night.
That's all right.
They're adding a strand for
Okay.
people that would be interested in being in ECAT that again would remove the need for those advanced courses and things like that.
Good.
So Mr. Miller has actually brought that up
Oh.
and as something that we're looking at. So
Perfect.
I'll
Yeah.
let me make a note and we'll get an update on that.
Okay. Fantastic.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Motion to approve. Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Motion to approve adjournment. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
Oh, yeah, Nancy, I'm on air, right? I'm on air.
That's what happens when you get in a rush.
All right, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Dennis? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. It is 7:47.
7:47.
That's pretty good.
If you'll turn off your mics, please.
Okay.